Welcome to I'ma Talk About It. I'm Alicia E., empowerment coach and ancestral healer, and I'm here to teach you how to break generational cycles, self-advocate, and ascend to happiness without the guilt of wanting a better life for yourself. You don't have to choose the same path as those before you. You can choose a better way, your way. Because if we can each heal ourselves today, we can heal the world tomorrow together. Hello, everyone, and all of you magical beings. Welcome back. This is episode 12 of I'ma Talk About It. Today, friends, we are going to talk about self-worth and financial success. So we're basically going to talk about money. Why do I want to talk about money? Because aside from my last episode, money is very important to talk about right now, especially, and I don't know if you've noticed or felt it, had any weird dreams, astrology is wild right now. There are so many planets in retrograde that are kind of making me feel like my brain is getting mixed up with a wild fork or something like that. But it's also really common to have odd, weird financial troubles come up right now. So I want to talk about what people aren't talking about, hence the name of this podcast. So we're going to talk about money today. But more importantly, I want to talk about why it's important to have high self-worth in order to have financial success, right? So self-worth, or even worthiness in general, gets missed so many times in every single financial conversation that I've had with people, and even gets missed in a lot of financial studies, and it's not being accounted for, I feel like, as much in the Great Resignation. But it's super important to talk about, specifically with financial success, right? Because how we feel and how we value ourselves is going to determine also our financial success, right? It can also set a person apart from the rest of the world, which is why sometimes, or even a lot of the times, you hear very successful people say, you know, I really had to believe in myself. Or you hear people say, you gotta fake it till you make it, right? They're basically teaching themselves to value themselves more, or tell themselves that they are worthy, so they can actually move towards financial success and align with the desires that they want. So you are teaching yourself to believe in your own worth, right? Which means you are, in a way, unintentionally in those circumstances, energetically learning to embody your worthiness. And some people can do it that way, the fake it till you make it. Or some people, like myself, is how I prefer to do it, is to be super intentional and literally redirect my energy towards my goal. So if mine is taking care of myself and my family for the long term, creating generational wealth, having financial success, I will redirect all of my energy to that one thing, right? And it doesn't mean the other aspects of your life begin to drop off or they're suffering. It just means that you are putting your energy into it. And like most things in life, when we fully are intentional and are prioritizing our goals, we're likely going to succeed, and we're likely going to follow through, because it's a constant reminder or motivator for us to follow through. So another thing I really wanted to talk about today, because financial success is kind of a lofty phrase, right? So how do we break it down into steps? So one of the first things that I always recommend all of my clients to do, I do it with myself, is to think about your relationship with money. And we've talked about this a little bit on the previous episode, but to really think about your inner child, right? What relationship did they have with money? So what was it really like growing up for you in your household or amongst the people in your family or your caregivers, wherever you were, what sort of conversations did you have with money, right? In my family, and I kind of want to just tell you a quick story about inner child work. In my family, money wasn't really talked about. It wasn't a priority, which I also mentioned before, which was kind of ironic because I had a parent who was also in the financial sector. So there were lots of other things going on. My mother was also a single mom, so she had a lot going on her plate, but it was never taught how to deal with money or how to interact with money. And there was a time in my life and in my family's life where money completely disappeared because my mother had become injured. There were like issues with her job. And so very quickly, the stability that was around us was basically ripped out from underneath us, right? So there was the sense of fear and to not talk about money and the sense of protection from my mother because she didn't want us to experience the world differently because our income was different, which we picked up on and we felt, but it was never acknowledged or talked about in that way. We could just see our mother bending over backwards and getting multiple jobs to do everything she could to make sure that our life wasn't different, right? And there was even a time when my mother and I stayed in a shelter. We didn't have a home, so we were in this place. It was kind of cold. To be honest, I feel like it was more of a nicer one. Like we still had rooms and, I shared a room with another family and like this little kid, and it kind of became a family in and of itself. But at the same time, like we still never talked about money. Like there wasn't really conversations of like what's going on with money, right? She just wanted me to experience childhood or having a childhood with a sense of normalcy, even though what was going on was very different, like extremely different. It was very obvious that there were financial troubles. And then as we kind of dug our way out of that, like we were still staying at other people's houses. So there were still financial issues. I, had to also make sure that I was getting good grades, which was super important because I think there was like a sense of fear from even my mother that she didn't want me to experience what we were going through. So I needed to make sure that I had good grades, which did help down the road because I ended up getting money for school and all sorts of things. But when I think about my relationship to money during that whole time, it's very disconnected and disjointed, right? Like there was a sense of survival and that was it. There wasn't a lot of energy or focus put into normalizing conversations with money or like energetic money or being around other people and experiencing life differently or being in, middle school or like high school and feeling different because of the path that we had to money and then had money taken away. And then, there wasn't that acknowledgement of those experiences. So when I look back on it, like I really had to think like, this has affected my life so much, right? Like when you think about your own experiences, what does it translate to into your current life? So for me, it all sort of manifested and showed itself as a clear disconnect, one, and then a fear with money. I have a very like fear-based relationship with money. Like I know that it's there, it can disappear easily, so I have to like go unless it's going to disappear. So I have also a deep connection with loss, a deep connection with confusion because there wasn't any conversations about money. And then there was the sense of growing up too quickly. So I've never been able to, well, life is different now. I was never able to connect with life and money at the same time, like in tandem in a healthy way until now, like in my 30s. So there was this, and there sometimes is, if I'm feeling really stressed out and I haven't been doing the work, a necessity to survive and to run away from what happened to me when I was younger. So a good example is, if there was a time, which I've had times before, like where money is really, really tight, I immediately kick it into high gear because I become fearful of landing back in a shelter. So there's there's this overwhelming fear that kind of debilitates me from living life. I then like have trouble communicating with people. It becomes like my sole focus. Like I will become cutthroat. Like it just brings out a side of me that I really don't enjoy, right? And it's a consistent practice for me to be able to work on that. So instead of instead of being able to trust myself and my capabilities when times like that come where money might be tight, I'll run away, but run towards safety, or what I think is safety in that moment for my mind, right? And so there is a lack of trust of not ending up where I was before, which then translates to I don't trust myself, which then translates to I don't trust other people. And then that translates to I only trust myself, which is like a weird roundabout way. Like when you really start to reflect on how you act during times of stress and with money, it all comes back to your self-worth. And in these instances, it's always my inner child running for comfort, or their idea or my idea of what comfort is and what I only knew, which was being mad resourceful no matter the cost. But that doesn't end up being comfortable. It makes me quite uncomfortable, but it's all that I know. So then I know then that I have to rewrite a whole nother story and give my inner child the comfort that they are seeking so clearly through all of those tough, rigid, and harsh actions that I will take if I'm pushed really, really far to my edge with stress and finances, right? And when I journal about what my inner child was probably experiencing, it's also experiencing the need to be with their mother in a different way, like finding comfort because she was so busy. There wasn't a lot of comfort or pause or things like that, just in the way that she knew how as well. But she was also stressed out. So I'm then mimicking her behavior, and my inner child also just wanted clarity, which is where the speed comes in. The like chase to find something, the clarity, the seeking, the it's safer to move, gotta keep going, right? I'm seeking something rather than slowing down and allowing myself the space and the energy that I need to actually find clarity and comfort. So this has also manifested itself, and I'm just telling you the story because I want you to be able to walk yourself through your own lifetime so you can also figure this out. So that inner child seeking comfort and clarity also manifested itself as not being able to articulate my needs clearly or at all because I didn't know how. And I didn't know if it was safe to. Like the only thing I knew that was safe was to let mom handle whatever, get good grades, and I would be fine. Anything outside of that, it was causing clear contention with happiness or the idea of happiness. So that is one way it manifested. So not being able to ask for what I need or recognize what I need consistently or at all, right? It was a long journey to try and figure that out. And another way it manifested was recklessly spending money. Like I was self-sabotaging because I didn't know how to recognize what happiness, fulfillment, and joy, and love, and comfort, and safety felt like. I just knew that we didn't have money, and then we had money, and then we didn't have money. So my relationship with money was, oh, I'm happy when I have money, so let me spend money, right? That's what people do. But there was a clear lack of understanding, and then I was self-sabotaging my own finances, but not knowing it. And then having a clear lack of understanding for finances in general and the importance of stability. I then didn't know what stability looked like because it was so unstable. And there were times when it was really stable, but it was so hard for me to recognize because I was so young that it became even harder to be able to create stability in my adult life because I had no idea. I didn't know. Like when I got into the real world, I was like, what the hell is this? Right? Like you kind of go through life like, what the hell is this? What relationship am I in? What am I learning from right now? Like, can someone help me out? Like that would be great, right? You get out and you realize, why did I go to college? I feel like someone else could have told me something about the truth on reality. But it's so interesting to really think about. And then as I got older and started going into the career realm, right? It manifested into not asking for promotions for a very long time and accepting my situation. Even though my mom was working hard to change the situation, I wasn't quite sure on how to navigate that space because she did all the navigating. Like I knew from watching, but I didn't know how to understand the actions that she took or like the reasoning behind it because there was such a disconnect of communicating those things or learning what to do or helping myself emotionally, physically, mentally that I didn't know how to navigate this new space. And, you know, she never talked about, along with nobody else in my family, talked about asking for promotions. I didn't even know where to begin. I didn't even know who to talk to. So then I had to just make it up on my own or like start reading or talking to people, which felt also unfamiliar, right? Talking about finances. And then sometimes when I was too stressed out, it turned into becoming completely helpless, which I recognize now, but I didn't recognize then. Like I was navigating life completely unaccountable for my own actions, still wondering why I wasn't making money, right? Because I wasn't being resourceful enough. And this isn't just about what happened when I was younger, because I was old enough to be able to figure it out. But I had trouble getting there because of what I had experienced and the situation I was in at the time, which we can talk about a whole nother day. But it became very difficult for me to actually take responsibility for my actions because I didn't understand my actions. I just knew that something wasn't working. Had I had someone who helped me prioritize conversations about money and stability, my relationship with money would have been completely different. But I had to struggle and figure it out on my own, which there's nothing wrong with that. But as we go forward and look at our own families, how can we support them better than we have been supported? And I think about how I can support my own children going forward and making sure that I'm getting the help that I need and I'm expressing myself and they have a really strong relationship with who they are and what they need in that moment, right? I want to make sure that they have the space to ask for things from me, or I have the space to be present in their life so I can teach them things. Because there are so many things in the world, not just finances, that go not talked about because of how we were raised, right? And it makes it so much more difficult to be able to create growth and expansion in our own life if we don't talk about it, because we don't know how to talk about it, right? It's like a vicious freaking circle. And when I think about my time growing up, like there were some things that we did talk about, but even to this day, I am still the one making waves, asking and demanding money and setting boundaries so I can change the future. And I want to share that because as you begin to do the work on yourself, you may be, as some people say, the one and only in your family creating change. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's actually pretty amazing, but it can be quite difficult. You don't have to change people's minds, but just know that sometimes this journey to getting to know yourself and creating a better idea of who you are and increasing your self-worth and creating financial stability and success and talking about money, it's unknown territory for a lot of people. So just know that you are doing something remarkable when you make these changes, because you're helping someone else's inner child down the road find the comfort and clarity that they need so they can live a more stable life rather than having to struggle through what you may have gone through. Because as I go through all of these items about what manifested, it's very clear that all of these things went back to my self-worth. It absolutely went back to my self-worth because I wasn't sure if I was capable of making good financial decisions, right? And that turned into questioning myself even more with most situations, whether in a relationship or at my job or when I got married, like all sorts of things. I would ask myself, am I worthy of making more money? Because I was confused about why people weren't paying me more, right? I must not be good enough, and that's why they're not paying me. Or I'll stay for maybe another year because I might be up for a promotion soon. At least that's what they told me, right? And I'm just buying into all these questions. Buying in because it's the only information I got. Or I can't ask for that. I can't ask for a promotion because they'll keep telling me no and I don't want to get fired. There's a valid fear around getting fired, right? But we can talk about that later because I have some solutions for you when that fear comes up. And what this led to me questioning myself and having low self-worth was that sometimes I would feel completely and utterly defeated. I was completely stuck with low confidence, low self-esteem, and the kicker, low income, right? So we have to really think about this on a larger scale when we talk about self-worth, because if you have low self-worth or you struggle with your self-worth, it will affect you in so many ways that you may not even see right now, right? But it'll come smack you in the face a couple years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, if you do not continue to work on it, right? If you don't begin to trust yourself and get to know your own history and your own knowledge of what you went through. Because let me tell you, when you go to work for a company, they're going to buy as much time as they can to not give you a promotion, right? So it's going to be really hard and tasking on you to continue to build your confidence when you're believing These lies about yourself that maybe you're not worth it, but you completely are. Right? So you have to learn to have a really great bullshit radar, even with yourself. You have to know and believe in yourself always, right? And it was important for me on my journey that I address my self-worth. Because if I believed I wasn't worthy, why would anybody else believe I was worthy? And that gets into the energy, right? Sometimes you get back what you put out. We talk about this all the time in my sessions. So energetically think, what exactly are you saying to people? When you tell yourself that you're not worthy, when you tell yourself or believe that you should wait for something that you deserve, like money, or an increase in pay, a promotion, a title change, whatever it is, what energy are you putting out there? And does it align with what you want? Right? And when you tell yourself all of these defeating things that just put hurdles in front of you, ask yourself what it also says about your boundaries with yourself and with other people. Because if you have low self-worth, you likely have very, very poor boundaries. Right? They go hand in hand. If you are allowing people to cross boundaries with you, that's not having very good boundaries, which means you're not valuing how important you are. If you value how important you are, you don't let nobody cross no boundary, right? Hell no. Step back, right? Step the F back. So think about what you're saying energetically, physically to the people around you, right? Think about your finances. Because the minute I fully and 100% believed in myself and believed that I was worthy was the exact minute my financial success exploded. And I became an unstoppable force to be reckoned with. And I owned my worth with others. And other people saw me do it. And then they started to do the same because it was contagious, right? So the minute that you believe that you deserve more is the minute you get more. Because that becomes your truth, right? So when someone tells you, no, you're not worth that, you're like, excuse me? Rather than questioning it, right? You go, excuse me? What I said was, this is what I'm worth. Take it or leave it, right? You start pushing that fiery energy out. And people respect that and they see that. It doesn't mean that you're being rude. You're standing in your worth or embodying your worth as your truth, right? Yes. Are you with me? Hell yes, right? So if you struggle to ask for help financially or to ask for promotions or to ask for what you need to improve your livelihood, I again invite you to reflect on your relationship with money, your history with money, and what it looked like growing up for you. And you will absolutely find the answer that you're looking for. And then I invite you to continue to do the work to get to know yourself to a place where you can feel completely unstoppable, confident, and fully embodying the life and energy you effing desire, right? Keep doing the work. Do not stop. It is a continuous practice. I say this all of the time. You want to be unstoppable, you got to keep working. Sure, you can take some breaks along the way. Everybody deserves a break. But you got to keep working, whatever that looks like. If resting is working, that's what you do. Right? So, I hope that this was helpful for you when thinking about your self-worth and your financial success and talking about money. I've had so much freaking fun. If you want to talk more about money and you want to go through each financial step with me and learn how to ask for promotions, let me know, because I have a workshop coming on the 20th of September next week. Hello, people. Get on board. It is called Unstoppable Wealth Creators. And right now it's still on early bird, and it ends in a couple days to get the early bird price of $55. It's going to go up to $77 and then to $99. So get it at $55, y'all, if we're talking about financial success and you want to save a penny. Okay? Especially during this retrograde, right? We need to pick ourselves up because financial lulls are hitting right now. So how can we infuse your life with confidence and remember that you are so fucking worthy of the life you desire, right? So what will you learn in this workshop? You will learn how to clearly articulate and embody your worth so the energy you put out aligns with your desires. You'll learn how to identify and break unhealthy cycles with money so you can make healthy financial decisions and teach your family to do the same, right? I'm feeling that one. You will learn how to attract an abundance of financial opportunities so you will always have access to resources and your financial worries will melt away, right? When we always have a plan, what are we worrying about? Nothing, because we got a plan. And most importantly, you will learn how to be a fucking unstoppable wealth creator. Okay, people, let's do this. And if you need extra support to hold yourself accountable, again, I have my Ascend to Happiness program coming in October. We are going to kick this shit out of the park. We're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about spirituality. We're going to do herbalism. We're going to talk about accountability and empowerment. I'm giving you the full thing, right? Over 8 weeks. It's going to be baller. So just be there. Also, I want to just add that if you ever need extra support, I am here to support you. Like, just DM me, send me a message, come be in the Facebook group. It's awesome. So that is a wrap of episode 12. Thank you all again for showing up for yourself, showing up for me. And I hope you found value in this discussion. And I look forward to sharing the rest of this episodes, really, with you. And that is a wrap. Hey, if you're ready to ascend to happiness and live the life you've always wanted, join me in my Empowered Living Facebook group for socially conscious healers, witches, and spirituals, and sign up to get my free Empowered 5 Practices to Ascended Happiness guide. It's helped others expand their consciousness and soar beyond sight, sound, and imagination in just one day. It's the catalyst you need to embrace your magic and change the world. Just click the link in the show notes and I'll see you in the group next time.